Glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we're chanting. If we can keep everyone so I can see them, I want to do this every class I give. I want to be able to see people. Other people may be able to talk to themselves fine, but I need people. Okay. So we're reading from the second chapter, text number 3. So everyone, you can repeat. Klaibhyam asmagama partha
Klaibhyam asmagama
Partha
Naitatrayu papadyate
Naitatvai
Tvai
upapadyate
upapadyate
Shudram ridaya dorbalyam
Shudram
Shrutam
hridaya
Hridaya
daurbalyam
Daurbalyam
Tyaktotishta parantapa
Tyaktvottishta
Tattotishta
parantapa
Parantapa
Klaibhyam asmagama partha
Klaibhyam asmagama partha
Partha
Naitatrayu papadyate
Naitatvai upapadyate
Upapadyate
Shudram ridaya dorbalyam
Shudram hridaya
Hridaya
daurbalyam
Daurbalyam
Yak tyak Tyaktotista parantapa
Tyaktvottishta parantapa
Vaibhyamasmagama partha
Klaibhyam asmagama
Asmagama
partha
Partha
Naitatrayu papadyate
Naitatvai
Naitattvai
upapadyate
Upapadyate
Sramridaya Sarvalyam
Shudram
Shudram
hridaya
Hridaya
daurbalyam
Daurbalyam
Yaktotista parantapa.
Tyaktvottishta
Tattotishta
parantapa
Parantapa
Someone else?
Klaibhyam Asmagama Partha
Klaibhyam asmagama
Asmagama
partha
Partha Naitattvai Upadyate
Naitatvai upapadyate
Sudram Hridaya Durbalyam
Shudram hridaya daurbalyam
Tvaktotista Parantapa
Tyaktvottishta parantapa
Klebam asmagama partha
Klaibhyam asmagama partha
neta tvaipapadyate
Naitatvai upapadyate
Putraritya dorpalyam
Shudram hridaya daurbalyam
Tekta utishta parantapa
Tyaktvottishta parantapa Klaibhyam asmagama partha
Klaivam asmagama partha
Naitattvai upapadyate
naitatva
Naitattvai Upapadyate
Shudram hridaya daurbalyam
shudram
Shudram
hridaya
Hridaya
durvalam
Daurbalyam
Tyaktvottishta parantapa
takto vishta
Tattotishta
parantapa
Parantapa Klebam Asmagama Partha
Klaivam
Klaibhyam
asmagama
asmagama
partha
partha
Naitattvai Upapadyate
Naitattvai
naitatve
upapadyate
upapadate
Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam
Shudram
shudram
hridaya
hridaya
daurbalyam
durvalam
Tattotishta Parantapa
takto
Tyaktvottishta
vishta
parantapa
parantapa
Anyone else?
Klaibang macha gama patha
Klaivam
Klaibhyam
asmagama
asmagama
partha
partha
noitat upapatate
naitatve
Naitattvai upapadyate
upapadate
kudrang kudrang hidaya daibalang
Kudram
Shudram
hridaya
hridaya
durvalam
daurbalyam
hato tishta parantapa
takto vishta
Tyaktvottishta
parantapa
parantapa
So if everyone can please mute themselves and please, if you turn on your videos. Klaibyam.
Yeah.
You don't have to mute yourself till after we do the word for word. Sorry. Klaibyam.
Klaibya.
Laibam,
Importance.
importance.
Masma.
Masma,
Ma.
Do not.
Do not.
Gamaha.
Gamaha.
Gamaha,
Take to.
Take to.
Partha.
Artha.
Artha,
O son of Prita.
O son
O
of
son of
Pita.
Prita.
Na.
Na.
Never.
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 Etat.
Etat.
That
This.
This.
this
Trai.
Tvai.
Unto you.
Unto
unto
you.
you.
Upapadyate.
Upapadyate
Upadate
Is befitting.
is befitting.
Shudram.
Shudram.
Petty.
Petty.
Hridaya.
Hridaya.
Daya
Of the heart.
Of the heart.
Daubalian.
Daurbalyam.
Weakness.
Weakness.
exist.
Tyaktva.
Tyaktva.
Tattva,
Giving up.
Giving up.
giving up.
Utista.
Uttishta.
Get up.
Get up.
Get up.
Paramtapa.
Parantapa.
Antapa,
O chastiser of the enemies.
O chastiser of the enemies.
Translation. O son of Prita, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Purport. Arjuna was addressed as the son of Prita, who happened to be the sister of Krishna's father, Vasudeva. Therefore, Arjuna had a blood relationship with Krishna. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. And if the son of a Brahmana acts impiously, he is a Brahmana in name only. Such Kshatriyas and Brahmanas are unworthy sons of their fathers. I'm hearing an echo. Does someone have their mic on? Okay, therefore, Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjuna was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjuna abandoned the battle, he would be committing an infamous act. Therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjuna did not fit his personality. Arjuna might argue that he would give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude for the most respectable Bhishma and his relatives. But Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authority. Therefore, such magnanimity or so-called nonviolence should be given up by persons like Arjuna under the direct guidance of Krishna. I'm trying to go back a page. Klaibyam masmagama partha naitatvayu papadyate kshudram hridaya dorbalyam tyaktva parantapa. O son of Prita, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Namaste Sasanyavadi Prashtachade Satarane. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, can everybody turn on their video so I could talk to people and I could see people's reaction? Okay. Or so that I could see people are there. So here, this is the beginning. I think, let's see, the last verse was Yeah, he's already started. He started to doubt. Seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana Krishna spoke the following words. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. O son of Prita, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise or chastise the enemy." So Arjuna is such a great soul. He's very compassionate. He's caring about his relatives, his friends. He's caring about uh, these people that he knows, he loves, he has relationships with, and now he has to fight against them. But that's the duty of a kshatriya. It doesn't matter if there's some battle, and even if your brother is on the other side, you have to fight against them. Uh, that's that's the kshatriya's duty. And Prabhupada uh, and Krishna is trying to explain this to Arjuna. Of course, Arjuna is put into this doubt purposely by Krishna so that the Bhagavad Gita could be spoken. Because otherwise, he just fight and win the war, and that would be the end. But just like Arjuna has this doubt, we have doubts. We don't have to fight with our relatives and friends. So we're not put in such a precarious situation as Arjuna. But sometimes we have a doubt whether we should do something or not. And sometimes it's our false ego that doesn't want to do it, although Krishna wants us to do it. So we have to try to remember these verses from Bhagavad Gita and do the right thing. Arjuna, I mean, it took him a long time, 600 verses before they finally they started the fight. But he had to go through all of this, and he had to make sure he understood, and he agreed. And of course, at the end, he does. But any person who doesn't know anything about Krishna being God or anything about Vedic culture or duties of a kshatriya would read this and think Arjuna is a great person. He doesn't want to do this, and he shouldn't do this. But it's not the duty of a kshatriya. Sometimes in your service, you have to do something you don't like doing. You can't just do everything you want to do. That's not Krishna consciousness. I mean, it might be, but generally there's things you have to do that are kind of against your grain, and you don't like doing them. But if Krishna wants you to do it, you should be willing to do it. Like Maharaj Yudhisthira didn't want to lie. He didn't want to lie saying Asvatthama is dead, because Dronacharya wouldn't die unless Asvatthama is dead. So they said, tell him. And of course, there was also an elephant named Asvatthama. So they had to kill an elephant so that he can say it without lying. Asvatthama, the elephant, is dead. So then Dronacharya wouldn't care to live, and they can kill him, because there was no way they were going to be able to kill Dronacharya. So Yudhisthira, he was such a saintly king. He was a kshatriya, but at the same time, he was a saintly king. He was like a Brahmin. He was so religious. But even there, he had to do something, and he didn't want to do it. Now, the highest religious principles, which we get to at the end of Bhagavad Gita, is do whatever Krishna wants. So even if a kshatriya shouldn't fight with his relatives, if Krishna wanted him to fight, he should fight. That's all that matters. All this business of relatives, it's just all spirit souls. They're all tiny little parts and parcels of Krishna. And temporarily they have this big, huge body. And you may have to kill that body or destroy that body if that's what Krishna wants. But ultimately, it's just it's a spirit soul. They're all pure spirit souls. They never die. And of course, we learn from Bhagavad Gita that if you die in battle, you go to heavenly planets and enjoy, or you win the earthly kingdom and enjoy. So either way, if you give it everything you've got, you're fortunate to have an opportunity to fight. Otherwise, what happens? You don't fight, you just die and you sleep, and who knows where you go. At least you got a better destination if you die in a battle. So they understood all this, but somehow or other, Arjuna, by the mercy of Krishna, not so much even towards Arjuna, and also towards Arjuna, because Arjuna becomes famous, for over 5,000 years, but for all the people of the future from the time of Arjuna till now benefit from this conversation. So it was certainly worth it for Arjuna to be put in disillusion temporarily. So we have to know what is my duty, what is our duty? I mean, we have certain things we know that Srila Prabhupada says for everyone. We have to chant so many rounds a day. We have to follow certain rules and regulations. And then you should do service. And sometimes when you're doing service, there might be something that somebody might not want to clean the bathroom, and you may be asked to clean the bathroom. So you have to still do the best you can, whatever service it is, whether you like it or you don't like it. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the purport. Arjuna was addressed as the son of Prita, who happened to be the sister of Krishna's father Vasudeva. So they're first cousins. Therefore, Arjuna had a blood relationship with Krishna. So this is just an example Srila Prabhupada is giving, that they're relatives. And Krishna doesn't want his relative to be disgraced. Therefore, Arjuna had a blood relationship. If the son of a Kshatriya, this is interesting, declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. And if the son of a Brahmana acts impiously, he is a Brahmin in name only. So this is very important, because lots of times in today's society, and even in Indian soap, somewhat like their culture, a lot of people, especially the Brahmins, think that you have to be born in a Brahmin family to be a Brahmin. And if you're born in a Brahmin family, you're a Brahmin. And there's another verse, of course, Kalo Shudra Sambhava, which in Kali Yuga, everyone is born a Shudra. So even if you're born in a Brahmin family, you're still born a Shudra. And then you have a good opportunity to become a Brahmin if your parents are Brahmins. So that doesn't make you a Brahmin just because you're born in a Brahmin family. Similarly, if you're born in a Kshatriya family, it doesn't make you a Kshatriya. You may be a coward. You may not want to fight. You may be, what do they call them in the military? I'm trying to think of the word. Conscientious objector. So you may be a conscientious objector. You don't want to fight. You're against fighting. And you can get out of the military if you're a conscientious objector. And I had a friend in the Navy. That's how I met him, because he was a conscientious objector and he wanted to get out of the Navy. So, and I found out that he wanted to do this. So I wanted to meet this guy because I thought that was pretty far out. And he did get out. And then later on, he even became a devotee, and he even got initiated by Prabhupada. But that's another story. But a conscientious objector is someone who doesn't want to fight. So if you're a Kshatriya, you can't have that attitude and be a Kshatriya. You're just then a relative of a Kshatriya or a friend of a Kshatriya. Just like a Dvija Bandhu is a relative of a Brahmin. Not a Brahmin, he's born in a Brahmin family, but he doesn't act like a Brahmin, so he's not a Brahmin. Chato Vanyam Maya Shrestha Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. That these four divisions of human society were created by me, Krishna says. And this is what is in society. There's Brahmins created by me, Chatavanyam Maya Shrestha Guna Karma, according to their qualities and their work. Not Janma. Janma is birth. It doesn't matter what they're born. But if they have the qualities of a Brahmin, if they work like a Brahmin, they're a Brahmin. If they have the qualities of a Kshatriya and they act as a Kshatriya, then they're a Kshatriya. It's not because of birth. It doesn't matter where they're born. It certainly makes it easier if both your parents are doctors for you to become a doctor. It would be easier. If both your parents are lawyers, you probably have a better chance of becoming a lawyer. If both your parents are plumbers, you probably, it would be easier to become a plumber than a doctor, but you can become a doctor, and the doctor's child can become a plumber. It doesn't matter. It's just makes it easier. And in past ages, before 5,000 years ago, generally people born in a Brahmin family were Brahmins, and people born in Kshatriya families were Kshatriyas. But we see 5,000 years ago, Abhimanyu was born in a Brahmin family, but he wasn't even a Brahmin. He wasn't a Kshatriya. He was really a bad, evil person. He had his Duryodhana, who was pretty bad. He's really bad. He was disgraced by what Abhimanyu did, killing 5 sleeping boys, the sons of the Pandavas. It was like a horrible, heinous act. And he was supposed to be a Brahmin, and he did that. So he's not a Brahmin, Brahma Bandhu. So this is of course, Arjuna is a Kshatriya. And he just has this doubt, and Krishna will eventually relieve this doubt. Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjuna was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjuna abandoned the battle, he would be committing an infamous act. So he had everything to his credit. Krishna's friend, Kshatriya, born in a royal family. I mean, he had so many credits. Trained up in the heavenly planets. How many people get trained in the heavenly planet? How many people on this talk was trained up in the heavenly planets and whatever they do? I don't think anybody. So therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjuna did not fit his personality. Arjuna might argue that he would give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude for the most respectable Bhishma and his relatives. But Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. So for most of us who don't know much, it sounds like a pretty magnanimous thing to do. But Krishna, who knows everything, is seeing that it's just weakness of heart. Sometimes we rationalize. We have some idea that we know what we're supposed to do, but we rationalize why we shouldn't do it, or we should do something else, and just to convince ourselves of it. So in this case, Arjuna is becoming convinced by these arguments he's giving to Krishna that he shouldn't fight this war. But Krishna isn't falling for any of it. He knows the right thing to do, and he's going to convince Arjuna of it shortly. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authority. So not just by Krishna, by anybody who knows the Vedic scriptures and the rules and regulations and what Kshatriya's rules and regulations are, would not approve of such a whimsical thing to do, to just stop fighting. Therefore, such magnanimity or so-called non-violence should be given up by persons like Arjuna under the direct guidance of Krishna. But even besides just Krishna saying it, it's approved by any authority. So the authorities, they know. And Krishna later on tells them, what will these people think of you? They'll think you left on the battlefield because you're a coward. So Arjuna might think, so let them think whatever they want to think. I know, but you don't know. The people who have knowledge, they know. And these are the people, Bhishma, Drona, they would know you're leaving because you're a coward. You might be rationalizing how it's because you're magnanimous and you're trying to help these other people. I don't want to fight with them. I don't want to kill them. But they know it's just because you're a coward. You don't care what foolish people think of you. We go out and chant Hare Krishna and foolish people think we're crazy. We don't care. But people in knowledge, what your guru thinks of you, you should care, because that's the reality. For your guru, you think you're really Krishna conscious, but your guru thinks you're in Maya. You should care, You don't think that, well, no, he doesn't know, I know better. No, so people who have knowledge, you should care what they think. You shouldn't care what a fool thinks. Prabhupada gives an example of elephants in a wedding parade marching down the street, and dogs come out barking at the elephants. The elephant doesn't care that the dogs are barking. The elephants just keep going. Insignificant, foolish dogs. Although I did see one elephant pick up something and go to hit the dog, and the dog ran away in India. That was in Mayapur, the Mayapur elephant. They have two there now. But basically, you don't care what fools think of you. You shouldn't care what fools think of you, but you should care what somebody who has knowledge thinks of you. Okay, let me see. Hey, that's like a half hour went by. That's like one verse. Anybody have any comments or questions?
Just a comment. I think you referred to Ashwatthama as Abhimanyu by mistake, right? Anybody else notice that?
Ashwatthama for?
You said Duryodhana looked down upon Abhimanyu, you said by mistake, right, Padmalochani?
No, I
Yes.
said Ashwatthama. Isn't Ashwatthama Dronacharya's son?
I know, but you referred to him as Abhimanyu by mistake, I think. So I got confused there.
If I said Abhimanyu, I didn't mean Abhimanyu.
Yeah, I think we understood him to be Ashwatthama because you said he killed
So
5.
don't listen to what I say, just listen to what I mean.
Okay. Clarify that.
Yeah, I may have said that, but I didn't mean it. Ashwatthama, he was the so-called, he was the Brahma Bandhu, the relative of a Brahmin.
Right.
So Abhimanyu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So you were saying about when Ashwadhama did not die and Krishna told to Yudhishthira Maharaj to say about that elephant name. Isn't it happened that he said Ashwadhama, the elephant died, and then Krishna blew his conch shell? Just want to confirm with
Yeah.
you because I heard
He didn't hear the elephant part.
Krishna blew his conch shell. Is it mentioned, Prabhuji? Like
I don't know if it is, but I heard that. I definitely heard that, but I don't remember if I read that. But in either case, he did say the elephant, but he said that either softly or while the conch shell. I think it was while the conch shell was blowing, now that you mention it. But Dronacharya heard Ashwatthama is dead. So that was
thank you, Prabhuji.
that was what we wanted. Well, thank you. I'm not going to tell any stories anymore because all I do is get corrected.
Prabhuji, I was confirming with you because
no,
I have heard. So
No, you're right. I'm joking. I'm glad.
I wasn't going to correct you, except I'm old enough to think like, is it Abhimanyu really?
No, I definitely want people to say that, because then I'm going to, say something and people walk away with the wrong impression or wrong idea that Abhimanyu did something wrong. So yes, I've actually seen greater devotees than myself making the same mistake. So, sannyasis have said that, and I've corrected them. I corrected them not for them because they know, and I know they know, but for other people who are listening. Okay, any other comments or questions?
Yad Achari Shreshthas.
Is that a comment or a question?
No, I was just kidding when you said that,
Even
that's
sannyasis do. She
that's
said, what great men do.
yeah, the common man follows. So we are following you.
Right. Well, yeah. Anyway, you can follow me as long as I'm following Prabhupada, that's all. Okay, so no other comments or questions. I'm going to read the next verse. Everybody okay with that? Okay, you don't have to chant it. I can just chant it. Text 4. Arjuna vacha kartam bhishmam maham sakye dronam cha madhusudana ishubi pratiyotsyami pujar ari sudana. And the English translation. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counteract with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? So this is it's a fact. You know, these are great persons. It's almost like of course, we're not Kshatriyas, so it's hard for us to do this as Brahmins, or we're trying to become Brahmins. But you can think of people who you respect so much, and if you're in a battle, how can you just kill them? You know, if they're fighting against you. And these are very, very respectable people, Bhishma and Drona. You know, his grandfather. You know, how would you kill your grandfather, you know? Unless you're from some African tribe that, you know, then you eat their brains or something. So you get their intelligence. I'm not saying you do, I'm saying people think that stuff and do that stuff. But, you know, you don't kill your grandfather, you love your grandfather, you serve your grandfather, you do whatever you can. Even if it's, even if he yells at you, you don't get upset. You know, he's just an old man. Okay, I'll read the purport. Respectable superiors like Bhishma and the grandfather, and Dronacharya, the teacher, are always worshipable. Even if they attack, they should not be attacked. It is general etiquette that superiors are not to be offered even a verbal fight. So this is culture. And we talk about culture. You know, in India, there was culture. This is what keeps people from doing the wrong thing, is culture. And they know they have this culture. I remember hearing Srila Prabhupada say that, like in India, like in America, some guy just goes over to some girl and starts talking to her. And, you know, and why don't they do that in India? You know, of course, nowadays they may, but Prabhupada said because of culture. So we don't have any culture in America. You just, anything goes. But in India, you feel this culture it keeps you from doing the wrong thing. So here, he's, even if attacked, there's certain things by these superiors, you don't counteract. And it is general etiquette that superiors are not to be offered even a verbal fight. You don't even argue with them. You shouldn't argue with your superiors. And in Krishna consciousness, we try to teach this and we try to observe it ourselves. You don't argue with superiors. And if you don't argue with superiors, even if there's some reason, you can question them submissively, but you don't challenge them. They're not to be offered even a verbal fight, let alone a physical fight. Even if they are sometimes harsh in behavior, they should not be harshly treated. I think most Indian people have this culture and know that they don't mistreat their elders. Then how is it possible for Arjuna to counteract them, counterattack them, sorry?
Where should a person live, giving up all other places?
I have no idea who's talking.
Ramananda Rai replied that one should give up all other places and live in Vrindavan.
Can you please mute? Because and then at the end I'll ask for questions or comments, and then I'll try to understand. So then, how is it possible for Arjuna to counteract them? Would Krishna ever attack his own grandfather Ugrasena, his teacher Sandapani Muni? These were some of the arguments offered by Arjuna to Krishna. So they're very good arguments. And Krishna did attack and kill his uncle. Kamsa. So sometimes it's necessary, but generally you don't do that. But in this case, in a war, it doesn't matter who's on the other side, you got to fight with them. Now, who was saying something? I really didn't understand what you were saying. If you could say it again. Who was talking?
Might have been a side conversation.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
But I had a comment that in the American Civil War that happened, brothers fought against brothers sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
mention that, but I didn't think anybody knew about the Civil War.
And second of all, Prabhupada also, when he went to Surat, and the Gujarati businessman with his family treated all the devotees so nicely. Prabhupada said, this is culture. This is the way a guest should be treated,
Yeah, Surat, that was in
Yeah,
Surat.
Surat, yeah.
That was, yeah, the devotees travel all over India with Prabhupada, and that was like the one place they were treated better than anywhere. Amazing
Right,
how they were
right.
treated in Gujarat. Everybody loved Prabhupada and the devotees there.
The whole town was like a devotee town, Surat
I
at
know.
the time at least, yeah.
The Gujaratis. So, John Ravani, do you want to have anything to say?
My husband is from Surat. Yes.
Hari bol.
We are coming to your home, Mataji.
Said we're coming to your home. Yeah.
But it is pretty amazing. Even when they did the Nagar Sankirtana, when they were chanting on the streets, they were stopped at every household, done arti, put garlands on them, It was like the whole town even had like a holiday, I think, on the day they were doing Kirtan.
They would let the whole town know where the devotees were going to be, and the people who were in their houses, they'd come out, they'd throw flowers, they'd give garlands. It was just
They'd even do like an arti for the devotees and everything, and they were really treated like,
They were decorating the streets.
what?
They were decorating the street. They
Decorating the streets.
Yeah, decorated the streets. Yeah, yeah. Actually, when I read Yamuna Devi's book on that, it almost looked like when Krishna comes to Dwarka, it kind of sounded similar to that, the way he was treated.
And one day, whole town, all businesses were closed.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
they closed purposely for this, not that they were closed, right?
Right,
They
right.
purposely closed for the Harinam.
And Prabhupada said Yamuna said the Gujarati families would feed them even if the devotees asked for the last drop of what was in their pot. They would just serve them and they would cook for themselves later.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we should try to be more like that when we open up our temple. I think we are pretty much, but we can even be more in taking care of the guests and treating the guests.
Mm-hmm.
Prabhupada said,
Say it louder, Jiva.
Prabhupada said that they were like, they ate at one family's home, and he said, this is how the Vaishnava behaves, because they served all the devotees so nicely, and they, afterwards, they asked for forgiveness. If I have offended you in any way, please forgive me.
Yes. Yeah.
After they served them so nicely, till they're all full to the neck. And I think they even gave them a donation.
Yeah, 50. And they gave each an envelope to each of
Yeah.
the devotees. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're so humbly, please forgive me if I offended you in any way.
Yes, yes, they said that. Yeah.
Well, you can see by the devotees like that, treating Prabhupada and his devotees in that way, how much Krishna would be pleased. What more can they do to please Krishna? They gave everything to at least when Prabhupada was there, to Prabhupada and the devotees, such wonderful reception. And Krishna doesn't forget that. And they make a lot of spiritual advancement when they do that. Just gives me the thoughts about when Prabhupada said, what can you do to please God? He has everything. What can you do? But if you please his son or his representative, then he's pleased. Said even if you pet his dog nicely, he's pleased. So devotees in Gujarat got many, many blessings from Krishna because of the way, you know, they treated the new Vaishnavas. I mean, the devotees were very, very dedicated, but they were very new, the Western devotees. But they can see they were real devotees. And Prabhupada made them devotees. So how great is he? No one else has ever done that in the world before that. Nobody went to the West and brought back. Prabhupada called him my white elephant. Says people come to see the white elephant.
But in the same Surat, Indradyumna Maharaj went to that exact same place. He wanted to do the same Nagar Sankirtana. At that time, this was even a few years ago, the whole neighborhood had become Muslim. But in spite of that, because seeing, you know, the sincerity of Indradyumna Maharaj, I think the Muslim chief or whoever's in that region allowed him to do the Nagar Sankirtana when he said, my spiritual master did this and I want to do this, you know. So it wasn't in the same state as it was when Prabhupada visited that place.
I don't know. I've never heard that, but I believe it because I know Indradyumna Swami goes everywhere and does
Right.
everything.
He went to the exact same house. That house was locked up. It was like a storage place now, but he went to that exact same place, but it wasn't in the same condition and not in the same mood that it was at the time Srila Prabhupada visited.
Anyway, Vedic culture. So here, Arjuna is bringing in this same point of what's the proper etiquette, the proper culture, and so therefore I shouldn't do this. So what is the difference? Somehow or other, if you're on the battlefield, it's okay. It's not only okay, it's the right thing to do, to fight with whoever's on the opposite side fighting against you. And to kill them if possible, or take them prisoner. I don't know anybody who got taken prisoner. I mean, they do that in the modern wars. I don't know if they did it then. I think they just fight till they die. Okay. I don't know if I should read another verse. We just end early. We got a test. We're going to have a test.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, but no, it won't take much time. We have.
Okay. I'm going to read one more verse. It's a short verse. I mean, the same verse, but short purport. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Really good argument. Better to live by begging than to kill these people. So purport, according to scriptural codes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and has lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. So that's nice to know, because sometimes people, they get initiated even by a guru, and then the guru falls down and does so many abominable things. They're fit to be abandoned. You leave them. You can pray for them and hope they come back, but you shouldn't follow them. I like this. Who is it? Oh, Bhakta Charu Swami. He would have everybody, when they, say what the regular principles, and that they will, like keep their faith in ISKCON. What do you know? You probably know what they say, what he had them say.
Never leave ISKCON.
Yeah, never leave ISKCON.
Never ever leave ISKCON.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and he says, even if someday I fall down, still don't leave ISKCON. So sometimes I've seen gurus fall down and they take disciples with them. Not many, or, not all, but they take some. So if you read like this verse, you don't follow such a person. You don't leave ISKCON and follow them. You stick with ISKCON. Everyone should know that. I mean, we're talking about someone actually falling away, not just having some hard time, but falling away from Krishna consciousness, coming up with some other bogus philosophy. So Bhishma and Drona were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of his financial assistance, although they should not have accepted such a position simply on financial considerations. Under the circumstances, they have lost their respectability of teachers. So what happened is the Drona and Bhishma, they were being maintained, taken care of nicely, in the palace or wherever they were. They had everything they needed, and it was all coming to them from Duryodhana. So they can't just leave him. He's taking care of them, and if he's going to fight, they have to stick up for him. So that was the situation why they were on his side. But Prabhupada is saying that because of his financial assistance, although they should not have accepted such a position simply on financial considerations. Under the circumstances, they have lost their respectability of teachers. But Arjuna thinks that nevertheless, they remain his superiors, and therefore to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood. This is how Arjuna is thinking, which is how most people would think. How am I going to enjoy this? I mean, especially with your grandfather, with killing your grandfather. Teachers, I don't know how Indian people may have a lot more respect for the teachers than Westerners do. We don't really think too much about teachers. So I don't think if your teacher is on the other side, it's going to really make any difference. But I would think for Indian people, sometimes they have really nice relationships with their teachers that last longer than from when they even get out of school. So I think what it boils down to is you have to do the right thing, whatever it is. And there shouldn't be anything too difficult. It says for a saintly person, there's nothing too difficult to do. So if you do the right thing, whatever is the right thing, that's what I want to do. No matter how painful it might be, that's what I have to do. And I think that's what we have to learn from this instance with Arjuna, wanting to do the right thing. But he's not so much wanting to do the right thing. He's coming up with material, he's with material reasons why he doesn't want to fight, but not following the Kshatriya principles. And of course, Krishna is right there telling him what to do. He's not really telling him so much what to do yet because he hasn't accepted Krishna as his guru. Right now, they're friends. So as a friend, you instruct your friend in the right thing to do. But as a guru, in Vedic culture, you can't disobey the instructions of your guru. And the guru has to take the position of the master, not equals. Friends, they're equals. So you have your friend and you try to give him instructions. You try to help him, but you're equals. But if he takes you as his superior, as his guru, then you have to take that position of the guru and tell him, no, you can't do this. This is nonsense. You're a nonsense. So you have to have it's a different relationship, which will be coming up very soon. So right now they're friends and he's giving him his advice as a friend. You know, there's this commercial, I think, or that friends don't let friends drive drunk. You know? So you got a friend and he's intoxicated and he wants to drive his car. So if you're really his friend, you don't say, no, you know, shouldn't drive now. You take his keys away, you do whatever you have to do because he's going to wind up killing himself. Or you find someone else to drive, or you drive if you're not, you know, so, you know, as friends, you have to do what you have to do to help your friend. But it's different being a friend and a superior given instructions. So they're kind of equals, but he's still trying to help him, telling him what he should do. Okay, any comments or questions? Again, last time, before we get our quiz.
I have-
Oh, Jiva, come here.
Oh, in connection with friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Yeah.
We're all driving our bodies under the intoxication of material inebriety. We're materially inebriated. So if we want to be real friends for someone, we have to help them see that, you know, not to drive their car in this mentality. That this car, this human body is meant for self-awareness, you know, becoming self-realized. That's what I was thinking.
This vehicle, so we have to tell everybody, Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago.
Yeah.
Wake up, sleeping soul. And if you have to smack them in the face once in a while, that's okay too.
If it were that easy to take the keys from that person, huh?
They didn't have that saying when I grew up. This, you know, friends don't let friends drive drunk. That happened later on. It took them quite a while to realize it's not good to drive drunk.
I think Polly Perlmutter had on her car, friends don't let friends eat meat or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised. She's still doing pretty good. We talked to her last week. Okay, we better take our test. We only got a few minutes left. Where's our guru? Our teacher.
Yes,
Who's
sir. Hare
Rasraj.
Okay, I'll really do.
I hope I pass. You should give me the answers. My class.
Prabhuji, in the first question, we can select
Yeah.
only one.
Right, that's what I found.
It's a tough one too.
You said put two
Mataji,
names.
whichever you.
Anyway, just put one. Had a better chance of getting it right.
I wasn't paying attention to the names today.
How many are done? Was anyone able to put more than one name for the first one?
No, Prabhuji, there were two, but we can only select one. I think he forgot to select checkbox or something.
I know you couldn't do it. I was just wondering if anybody could. I couldn't.
We get full marks for one.
What?
We'll get full marks for one selection only.
Yeah, you can select out of 2 1. Okay, I see almost 80% answered. Then just one more devotee is pending.
Some people might be going and checking the verse, huh?
Well, see, that's why I want people to show the video so you can see that they're not looking in their book. So, I'm not.
I tried to turn my video on and scared myself, so I had to turn it off.
No, why people can't put their videos on? Why? What's the problem? I mean, I didn't say it.
I look like Surpanaka or Putana or something. So.
Well, then it can remind us of the Ramayana.
I don't want to scare myself.
Huh?
What was the test?
The test was good. I don't remember the one answer that I liked that was funny.
All right, we are ending the quiz in 10 seconds.
Yeah. You don't want to say it now just in case somebody puts it.
Oh, I thought you finished.
Okay, and for 2 seconds, close. All right. So, which 2 names of Arjuna is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 2.3? So, what are the 2 answers?
Partha and Parantapa.
Partha and Parantapa. Right. So, there's
I
a.
selected Partha, so I got that one right.
So, yeah, Partha is Parantapa. That's correct. So, the words it's like Nebyam Masma Gahamam Partha, then at the end Parantapa. So next is, which verse did Pyari quote? Okay, this is at least 100%. Okay, Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam.
That's good.
Okay, great. So which name of Krishna is referred in Bhagavad Gita 2.4? Okay, I see multiple selections. So what are the 2 correct answers?
Madhusudana, Arisudana.
Madhusudana and Arishudana. Okay, yeah, that is the 2 correct answer. Whom did Arjuna say cannot counterattack? Right, okay, this is also 100%.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah, Viva and Drona. And 5th questions. Okay, when can a teacher be abandoned? Right, that is what we discussed just now. Like the first 2 answers are correct, not that if he gives lots of homework.
Lot of homework. That is a funny.
Some kids selected that.
Looks like.
I know, right?
And I remember when I was in the kid, I don't want to go to school because the teacher gives lots of homework and I didn't complete it. So, okay, the last, okay, it's multiple answers. So answer is begging, right? That's what just instead of fighting, he will go for begging. So that's all for today's quiz. Thank you everyone for participating. Hare Krishna.
Nice, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Panchakapat Shakti Pasandu Paivacha Pati Pane Pamni Vaishnavi. And Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's done. Is there any other kid?
Tulsi is left. Hare Krishna.
Okay, that's good.
Hi. Hi.
Hare Krishna.
Vanchakam Vepcha Agriva Sindhu Bhayuta Satiktanam Pavinepyo Vishnu Vipyanam Ananta Kochi Vishnu Vrinda ki jai. Who is saying that door? Me. Who's that? I think that's Sadhu. You were right.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada
Ki
ki
jai.
Ki jai.
Hare Krishna everyone.